are anonymous. No face, no flag, no party. We are not an organization you can shut down, and we are not a voice you can silence. We exist when power crosses the line and believes fear will protect it. Right now, that line has been erased in Texas, and what we are witnessing is not law and order. It is chaos engineered by Donald Trump. What is happening outside the Dilley Detention Center in South Texas is not an accident and not a one-day story. It is the logical outcome of a system that treats cruelty as policy and intimidation as governance. This is what Trump's America looks like when the cameras are on, and when they think no one will stop them. It began as so many of these stories do with a child. Liam is 5 years old, a 5-year-old Ecuadorian boy who became a pawn in Trump's immigration war. Trump's ICE agents used him as bait. They waited until his father stepped outside, then seized them both. No warning. No explanation, no humanity. They were taken from Minnesota, transported across state lines, and locked inside the Dilley Detention Center like evidence, not people. A child was kidnapped to trap his father. That is not enforcement. That is predation. When the public learned what had happened, people responded the way human beings are supposed to respond. They showed up, peacefully. Community members, union workers, families, faith leaders, and elected officials gathered outside the detention center to demand answers and demand freedom. Democratic lawmakers were there, including Congressman Joaquin Castro, standing openly among the crowd. There was no riot. There were no weapons. There was no threat. And yet Trump's regime responded with force. CNN was broadcasting live when state troopers arrived in riot gear, delivered by school buses like an occupying army. Tear gas was deployed. Smoke devices were launched into the crowd. One canister landed directly on top of a photographer's camera, sending a clear message about who the real target was. Journalists scrambled. Protesters coughed and retreated. Some were pushed to the ground. Several were taken into custody. The rest were driven back by chemical weapons.
Fold as well, but state troopers starting to push back. I saw some... Oh! There we go. Oh, that landed on top of a photographer's camera, and I could see the photographer jump back there. So they have, I see a number of troopers have taken a few people into custody down there on the ground, but the vast majority of them have been pushed back. All of this literally unfolding here as these troopers in the riot gear, the state troopers, were the ones that were brought in on a school bus just a short while ago, and then quickly sent off those exploding smoke devices, getting the crowd to break back.
This was not crowd control. This was punishment. Earlier that same day, thousands of people had gathered outside the same facility. Union members, neighbors, ordinary Texans who refused to accept the disappearance of children as normal. They too were tear-gassed, pepper-sprayed, beaten and brutalized by Trump's ICE Gestapo. You can hear it in the footage. Someone asking where their children are. Someone trying to downplay the pain of pepper spray because shock makes people do strange things.
This ain't shit! This ain't shit! Where's
Yeah, pepper spray's not that bad. That was not bad at all. Shit. Link arm spray.
Before the attack, the protest was calm. Hundreds marched together, chanting one demand over and over again. Let the 5-year-old boy out. Let them all out.
We won't be silent free! Liberation now, 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 now! What? We are the people now! We won't be silent free! Liberation now, 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 now! What? We are the people! We won't be silent free! Liberation!
This was not radical. It was moral. Local news captured the same moment CNN did. Tension rising. Troopers advancing. Smoke erupting. The same scene repeating itself because repression is predictable and resistance always triggers the same response from authoritarian power.
A group of, well, now it's starting to get tense. We'll let you watch this scene unfold here as we're kind of watching it unfold as well, but state troopers starting to push back. I saw some, oh, there we go. Oh, that landed on top of a photographer's camera.
And while all of this unfolded outside, something even darker was happening inside the detention center. Behind the walls, detainees were dressed uniformly, stripped of identity, standing like props in a dystopian spectacle. You can hear them screaming through concrete and steel. Help us. Let us out. Free us. They're harming us. These are not slogans. These are desperate human voices. A lawyer inside the facility managed to record the sounds before being ordered to leave. He was forced off the premises, while the screams continued behind him.
I'm outside. I'm outside. It doesn't say out here.
Now!
And I've just been ordered to leave the premises. I've just been ordered to leave the premises, and she's yelling at me right now, so I'm going to head back to my car and try and keep you abreast of the situation.
The state made its intentions clear. Observation is not allowed. Witnesses are not welcome. This is how authoritarian systems operate. They hide abuse, expel accountability, and punish exposure. More footage shows peaceful protesters being shoved back again, hands raised, bodies absorbing the weight of a government that sees dissent as a crime.
You want to be out of
No violence from the crowd, only violence from the state. Then came the words that confirmed everything. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz revealed what Donald Trump said to him directly. Trump told him he does not understand what is wrong with Minnesota. Walz responded calmly, saying nothing is wrong, that it is one of the most effective states in the country and one of the best places to live.
What else did he say to you, other than saying he wanted to work together? I mean, what did he tell you about, what did you talk about?
He told me that he doesn't understand what's wrong with Minnesota. I don't know what's wrong with you people. I said, nothing's wrong with Mr. President. We're one of the most effective states and one of the best places to live.
Trump dismissed reality. He bragged about crackdowns in New Orleans and Louisville, claiming there were no problems. Walz pointed out that no one was killed in those operations, and that what Trump was doing now was fundamentally different.
And he told me that, well, look, Tim, we did this in New Orleans, we did it in Louisville, there's no problems. And I said, you didn't kill anybody in Louisville or New Orleans, and the operation here looks very different from that. And
then Trump crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. He compared Minneapolis to Venezuela.
And then he told me it was successful in Venezuela.
He talked to you about Venezuela.
He did. He did. I'm not sure what gave him the indication that at this point in time, what's happening to my state, that I'm interested in Venezuela. But he told me how well that went. Which really was strange to me was he saw an operation in Venezuela against a foreign nation in the same context he saw an operation against a U.S. state and a U.S. city.
The President of the United States compared an American city to a foreign nation he constantly demonizes. He spoke about operations against Americans using the same language he uses to describe actions against hostile states. He framed domestic dissent as warfare. That is not a mistake. That is a worldview. Donald Trump does not see protesters as citizens. He sees them as enemies. He does not see ICE as law enforcement. He sees it as a paramilitary force. He does not see cities as communities. He sees them as territory to be subdued. And the American people understand this now. That is why people are fed up. That is why protests are spreading. That is why the No Kings movement exists, because this is no longer about policy disagreements. This is about whether one man gets to behave like a ruler, unleashing armed agents on children and chemical weapons on peaceful crowds. The No Kings protests did not appear overnight. The first was large. The second was larger. There were hands-off protests, local actions, constant resistance across cities and towns. What connects them all is refusal. Refusal to accept fear. refusal to normalize abuse. Now groups like Move On, Indivisible 5051, the ACLU, and countless local organizations are coordinating again, not under a single leader but as a network. Leaderless by design. Because you cannot arrest an idea. They have announced a new National Day of Action on March 28th. But they have been clear. Waiting is not enough. People need support now. Training now. Organization now. Especially in cities facing ICE escalations and federal intimidation. Digital organizing is already underway. Safety training, legal resources, infrastructure for local organizers who are already under pressure. This is what democracy looks like when institutions fail and people step in to protect each other. The goal is not symbolism. The goal is scale. The biggest No Kings action ever. More events, more communities, more people reached. Every county if possible so no one stands alone. To make that happen, they are calling for hosts, ordinary people willing to step forward, receive training, and organize peaceful resistance in their own communities. Trump relies on isolation. Resistance relies on connection. Independent media plays a critical role in this fight. Corporate outlets move on. Algorithms bury stories, but independent journalists stay. They document. They amplify voices power once silenced. That is why cameras get hit with tear gas canisters. That is why reporters are shoved aside. The truth is dangerous to authoritarianism. Texas is not the exception. Texas is the warning. Across the country, ICE operations are escalating. Workplace raids, courthouse arrests, family separations wrapped in bureaucratic language, children sleeping under fluorescent lights, parents disappearing overnight, communities living in fear while Trump calls it success. For years, Trump has normalized this brutality, calling immigrants invaders, comparing human beings to animals, encouraging violence, praising force as strength. Each time he does it, the line moves further. Texas shows where that line is now. A place where a 5-year-old can be kidnapped as leverage. A place where lawmakers are tear-gassed. A place where detainees scream behind walls. A place where the president compares American cities to war zones. This is not strength. This is weakness wearing armor. Strong leaders do not fear peaceful protesters. Strong nations do not gas journalists. Strong systems do not need to terrorize families to survive. What Trump is doing is desperation, and desperation always escalates before it collapses. We are anonymous. We have seen this pattern before. When power loses legitimacy, it turns to force. When force fails, it turns to fear. When fear fails, it falls apart. The only question left is how many people will stand up before more damage is done. If you are listening to this, you are already involved. You do not need permission to care. You do not need a leader to act. You do not need to look away. Share this, talk about Texas. Say Liam's name. Support independent media. Organize locally. Go to nokings.org. Sign up, host, volunteer. Show up, because silence is what tyranny feeds on, and collective action is how it ends. We are anonymous. We do not forget. We do not look away, and we do not kneel.